Welcome to All Things Mork County, Mork County's weekly radio show, highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyles, community, and neighborhood. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Good morning and welcome to a special edition of All Things Mork County. Dorothy, we normally are putting shows on the weekend, and we tape it a little bit ahead of time, so we're all very well prepared.
Yes.
Today we have the privilege of speaking with the Judson Theater Company in Morgan Sills about an upcoming production, Harvey, which is going to debut on the 24th of September. And it's a very special show for a lot of special reasons. Many people who live in our area who grew up in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, which I always refer to as, or the 50s and the 60s as a golden age of television.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I grew up on a couple of shows, and you've heard me make references to some of the shows because we live by analogies, don't we?
Yes.
How many times have I mentioned Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver?
I don't have that many fingers.
Okay. We watch shows like The Donna Reed Show, Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best, and we looked around our house and we looked at our family and we said, oh my gosh, we're not like this family. We're a little bit different. But they represented an era in our culture. We're going to be joined today by Elinor Donohue, who played Betty in Father Knows Best. She was the oldest of 3 children, and for those of you who grew up like I did, Father Knows Best, and the Andy Griffith Show, for that matter, have made indelible impressions in our psyche. Morgan Sills, good morning.
Hello, Bill.
You are a week away from a great production with a lot of fanfare going on.
Yes, a week away from Judson Theater Company's Harvey, which has been years in the making.
Right. Tell us a little bit about Harvey, real quickly.
Well, I think a lot of people may know the Jimmy Stewart movie, or one of the TV versions, or they may have seen the 2012 Broadway revival with Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory. But if you don't know the story of Harvey, it's the story of Elwood P. Dowd, who is this very kind and loving man who has one rather eccentric trait. His best friend is a 6'1.5" imaginary rabbit puka named Harvey.
Right.
So when Elwood's sister Vita decides that she's going to have him committed so she can entertain her friends in peace, they all go to Chumley's Rest, and hilarious and heartwarming complications ensue.
You've got quite a cast of people here for the production. By the way, the dates are September the 24th through the 27th at the Owens Auditorium at Sandhills Community College. And we're going to give out some ticket information today where people can go. But it really is a perfect show for the whole family, kids, grandparents, all generations.
Yes, it is. And certainly a show that is beloved across the generations, I think, too.
You've done a couple of classics here in the last 2 years. Steel Magnolias, To Kill a Mockingbird, Plaza Suite. You keep coming back.
We do indeed. In fact, we're going to be announcing our shows for next year at Harvey.
Oh.
So that'll be an extra bonus for the people who come to that show. They'll get to hear about the shows we're going to do in 2016.
Well, I was very excited to email with you and to find out that Elinor Donahue is coming into town. And Elinor, first of all, I say it's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, thank you so much, Bill.
Oh, she's so sweet. And this is your first trip to the Sandhills, I understand.
To the Sandhills area, yes.
And professionally, it might be your last professional effort?
That is the intention, yes. I've been retired for the most part for the last 15 years, although I have continued to work. I don't know, it just sort of things, that's the way my career has been. It just sort of happens. I don't seek it. And when something lovely like Harvey comes up, you can't turn it down.
Right. Well, for people who might not remember Father Knows Best, they certainly would remember the movie Pretty Woman with
Julia Roberts. Yes.
Was that 1990 when it came out? 91?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I remember the scene where she came into the boutique and you played the character who waited on her, but you were the nice boutique.
Yes.
Not
yes.
the snooty boutique.
That's right. That's right.
And Richard Gere was introduced to you through her as her uncle?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And what did you say to her?
They never are, dear.
Right. I went on YouTube and saw a couple of the 25th anniversary of Pretty Woman. That became a very iconic film.
Yes, it did. I must say, I have been blessed throughout my life for many, many reasons. On the professional vein, blessed by the iconography of my background. It's strange, Star Trek, for heaven's sakes.
Right.
I did one episode called Metamorphosis, and because that's the 50th anniversary of that next year, that has become quite a big deal, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of things for them. And so it's just been a very interesting life.
Is it safe to say that you started out as a child star and you stayed in the business your entire life?
Well, yes, I wasn't a star when I started. I just was.
None of us were, right?
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
But you started. How old were you when you?
Well, if you go all the way back on station KOMO in Washington State, I was on the radio too, singing on a Saturday morning show called Youth Makes a Record. Oh. And from there, I did some what they call casual dates, I guess, clubs and whatnot. But I became a professional vaudeville performer on the Burt Levy circuit in Washington State, primarily, when I was 4.5.
Wow.
And then we came to California when I was 5.5, and a friend of my mother's was carrying a photograph of me in his pocket, and he was under contract to MGM. He was a character actor named Richard Lane. Mm-hmm. And a producer said, "We're looking for a little girl that can sing and dance and act, and we can't find anybody that can do all three." And he said, and then the producer said, "I'm about to cut the part out of the movie."
Oh.
And he said, "Well, I know she can sing and dance. I don't know if she can act, but it's worth a try."
Sure.
So Mother and I trooped out to Universal Studios, and I sang and I danced for them. And the producer, Leonard Goldsmith, I think his name was, whispered a line for me to say, and I don't remember what the line was, but he said, "Say this." And so I said it, and they all laughed, and that was that, and I was in Mr. Big with Donald O'Connor. And that was my first movie, and I was under contract to Universal for a couple of years.
You've appeared in so many different shows, The Dukes of Hazzard, The Golden Girls, Star Trek, as you mentioned, Mork and Mindy.
Yes.
You work with Robin Williams.
Yes.
Murder, She Wrote,
Mm-hmm.
The Flying Nun.
Yes.
Sally
Field's sister.
Sally Field's.
I played her older sister.
Okay.
On that, and I think the first one started because Sally had broken her leg, or had to have surgery on her leg or something, and she was bedridden.
Okay.
And she couldn't move around, obviously. So they agreed that I would play her sister visiting her, and kind of took over the walking around role, if you will.
Well,
but my late husband, Harry Ackerman, was the executive producer of that, so that's how that came about.
Okay. The list goes on. Dennis the Menace, The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, 77 Sunset Strip, Barnaby Jones, The Rookies, The Virginian, George Burns and Gracie Allen Show. Yes. Tell me what you Tell me what you did with them.
Well, I kind of don't remember. I played a teenager.
Oh.
And I had known Ronnie Burns because I taught ballroom. I didn't teach ballroom dancing, but I was the demonstrator for a cotillion, a Friday afternoon cotillion that Thomas Sheehy gave at his dance studio. And he had been my ballet and tap teacher when I was little. And I was about 12 years old. And Ronnie and Sandra Burns came to the cotillion, and I had a mad crush on Ronnie. He was going to military school at the time.
Did he know it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't
you
think
don't tell.
so.
You don't reveal crushes, do
No,
you?
no. And I was too young for him. He was about 14, I think. And but he would come to the cotillion in his military uniform, and
Right.
it was just a real swoon, you know. So anyway, it was fun when I got to be on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I have since read the book that Mr. Burns wrote, Mr. Burns Sr., about his life with Gracie, and it's a marvelous, marvelous book. It's out in paperback now.
Right.
And I didn't realize how ill she was. She had a heart condition, and she was very troubled sometimes and would get very, very nervous and upset. And my feeling was, when I did the show, was that, there's not a lot of joy here. I mean, you'd think of Burns and Allen that it was going to be really fun and a hoot, but it wasn't. It was serious, dead serious. And it was strange. It was kind of a strange feeling. But it was nice, you know, because I knew them. I had been to their house and everything. They were lovely, lovely people.
What was it like to work with Robin Williams, Mork and Mindy? How old was he at the time you worked with him?
Oh, young.
Yeah.
You know, he was just starting out. But he had a volatile personality, and he was an unusual person, I think I would hazard to say.
You're very softly, I love your strong opinions, but they're very softly stated, which is a very good art. He's very talented, kind of mercurial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We had he was funny, and he had a temper tantrum at the read-through, and I had never been to a read-through where one of the stars had a temper tantrum. So I was kind of nonplussed by it, and I went to my dressing room to take the break before they started blocking, and he came to my dressing room and knocked on the door, and he crawled in on his hands and feet. I was sitting on the little sofa bed that they have, and said, "Did I frighten you?" And I said, "Oh, no." And he said, "I'm sorry." I said, "That's all right." And he just sat there on the floor, and we talked for a few minutes. And then it was all business from then on. And one time the night of the taping, we had to do a quick crossover behind the sets as they were resetting the cameras. And he did something that would be inappropriate in this day and age as a gesture. And I did it back to him, which made him laugh. He loved it. I mean, he just loved it. So.
You obviously have a perspective that is rare, but interesting to share. I noticed you also were on the Bob Newhart show.
Yes.
Very funny, very talented. Is his public persona the same as? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was from a different generation of entertainer, wasn't he?
Yes. And a wonderful, wonderful man. Just he and his wife are delightful family people, grounded, just as nice as can be. I'm just crazy about him.
I think, didn't he invent dry humor?
I don't really know. I think there had been
a couple before him?
Yeah. But he had his own unique style.
What is it about your style that over your entire career, the business came to you rather than you going out to the business? You were you just always had opportunities consistently. Yeah,
I don't quite know. I don't understand why. It's, I would say, but God-driven. It's been I've been blessed.
I just met you, but I can tell you that probably one of the reasons was the fact that you don't have an ego. You don't have a pompous ego. People get drawn to that, I guess, where you just had opportunity after opportunity. Tell me about the Judson Theater Company and the production of Harvey. What was it that drew you, and how did you both get connected? Because this is a special show in Mork County. It's obviously a special production and show for you. How did it all come to be?
Well, it was once again kind of by accident, and not by accident on Morgan's side, I'm sure. But he had contacted me through. I don't have an agent any longer, being retired. So my son James Ackerman has kindly said that he would field any things that come in through, media or whatever. And ergo, he heard from Morgan last year, and he asked me to do a role in Steel Magnolias. And I quickly got it, and I read it, and I loved the part, but I was fearful of taking it on. I am in my late 70s. I was fearful of the memorization and the short run and the short rehearsal, and being able. Steel Magnolias relies on rhythm, and the cast really sparking off each other. And if I didn't want the pressure, I just couldn't. And I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to do it. So James got back to Morgan, and he said, I accept that, and it's wonderful. Now, James said to me, he's going to come back and want you for something else again, and next time you're going to have to say yes. And I said, oh, yeah, sure, okay. Never thinking that he would ever call me again. So I was taking a nap one afternoon, as I am apt to do.
So am I.
And I had just awakened from my nap, and the phone rang. My husband picked it up, and he said, it's James on the phone for you. And James said, well, Morgan Sills just called. Well, I had a very nice nap, and I was in a very happy frame of mind. And he told me about Harvey, and he told me how it was going to be staged and how it was a shorter part. It's not the big, I'm not playing Velma, so the whole play does not rest on my shoulders. And so I said, okay. And that was that. And then I got the play, and I just loved the character of Mrs. Chumley that I'm playing.
Yes.
I think she's just delightful, and I was really happy that it came to me that way.
Is it energizing for you to be around the new generation of professionals who are in the theater right now?
Oh, yes,
right?
Absolutely. It's a wonderful cast. They're funny and they're bright. And there's a young woman.
Morgan agrees with you, by the way.
Yes, of course. The young woman who plays Nurse Kelly she's got the most stunning red hair I've ever seen, and she's an absolute delight. I'm waiting for her to win a Tony someday. I know I'm going to see her winning a Tony. She came to acting later in life. I mean, she's a very young girl, but she was a computer analyst and artist, and just to kind of get up and moving around, she took acting classes in New York just for something to do, and fell in love with it. And she has a natural talent. She's wonderful, just delightful. And the fellow who plays Elwood P. Dowd has done the show before, and many, many, many other things. He has a terrific career. Youngish, way younger than I am, probably in his 30s. Would you say?
Yeah,
30-ish. But a terrific take on the role, and I'm having a lot of fun. Well, my first rehearsal day was yesterday.
Right.
It was one long day. And we're going to have another long day today.
Morgan, how do the cast members, how do they relate to Elinor?
Oh, you should see.
Right.
It's the thing that you hope for when you start a theater company, the way they respond to the professionalism. She came in off book. There's that wonderful thing of having been on sets all her life and taping shows in 3 and 4 days, where went through the blocking one time, book down, working off book now. So it was amazing. I said, Daniel, to the director, Daniel Haley, do you think she could go on if we opened on Saturday? He's like, she could go on tomorrow.
Right.
And it had, and the level, not only of that kind of professionalism, but the way that with an actor who's so experienced, the way the penny drops so deep in the well, in terms of giving the material such value. I knew that Mrs. Chumley could be a very special role in the play, because there's a 70s TV version of Harvey where it's Arlene Francis. On Broadway in 2012, it was Carol Kane. And I thought, oh, this role would be perfect for Elinor because she was on the list of people that I absolutely had to work with. I just had to, because there's that wonderful sort of Tacoma, Washington incisive quality. There's the bubbliness. There's a sweetness that is not saccharine because that incisiveness cuts through.
Right.
It's the combination of many wonderful things.
Right.
And so it's a joy to see her and also to see the tradition passed on. She's talking about relating to our cast members who are in their 20s and so on.
Right.
And they're going to have this experience to talk about further down the line the way that she can talk about Jeanette MacDonald.
Nelson Eddy and Jeanette MacDonald.
Well, she worked with Jeanette, not Nelson.
Not Nelson. Yeah, Jeanette MacDonald.
As a very, very young child, yes.
Do you know that my mother, when I was a child with my sister, she made me go to see the Nelson Eddy, Jeanette MacDonald movies. They dragged me in. My sister walked in willingly. She was fine. She sat with my mom in her dress and her patent leather shoes. I sat there like I needed to find the men's room.
Right.
But my mom thought she wanted to instill this culture in us, like you gave someone a vaccination.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a period that maybe a lot of people here wouldn't remember. But oh my gosh!
Yeah,
well, you
she's
see,
a wonderful lady, just
Really?
terrific lady.
Huh?
you say that about people not remembering, but to me, all these shows that she has been on, they're just perennials.
Yeah,
they're
they
on
are.
MeTV. They were on Nick at Night when I was
right.
growing up on TV Land, and it's all sort of one wonderful hodgepodge of American culture. And you can always, wherever you are, you can find them on the air.
Right.
And so these people are like friends in your life as much as somebody's body of work can be your friend.
Right.
You know?
The whole experience of being here and being with these different generations today, isn't there something about you and your career now that there's a joy in giving back and mentoring others?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. If I had, actually, the opportunity arose and then it was pulled back for some reason or other. They didn't build the school or something, but someone had asked me to not teach so much as to
Coach?
give talks and coach and
Right.
whatnot. I was asked many years ago if I wanted to be sponsored to be a director. For the AFI had a program for female directors way back when female directors were not as prevalent as they are today.
Right.
And I said, I can't tell them what to do. I couldn't tell anybody else what to do. I don't know what I'm doing myself.
You know, she's so humble. That's very appealing.
But basically, the acting thing for me is that I don't follow a course of, now I'm going to do this, except learn the lines. That's basic. But you have to kind of, for me, play it by ear.
Yeah.
And give back. The give and take with the other actors is what they give me, I give back, and so forth. It's like playing badminton or tennis or something.
She has a wonderful quality in the rehearsal room. She has that worker bee quality that is like the most powerful drug in the world to me, to have an actor like that who goes in and the positive energy comes out and the support and knowing how to build the company, you know, and the fun and the jokes and lots of, we have there are laughs in the script and then we have laughs off stage too, just in rehearsal and stuff, and it's such a joy to be. The process is joyful as well as the performance, you know. So that's a meaningful thing in terms of passing it all on, and I think too about just all the students in Moore County schools who are going to be coming to the show.
Right.
And they're having professional theater in their backyard and seeing a classic like Harvey, which is still one of the top 10 plays that high schools and colleges do.
What is it about Harvey that propels its appeal over all this time?
I think the message. Obviously, if you knew it in its first go-round, it had such a powerful message for a country that had just gone through a war.
Right.
But there's a message of kindness in there. You know, Elwood says, "I choose pleasant," you know, and things like that. There's a faith message in there, even though the play is completely secular, about believing in something unseen that is looking out for you and can see into the future and take care, and also of just being your best self within a community of people.
Mm-hmm.
And people really respond to that. The more plugged in we are to all these devices and sort of maybe disengaged by electronic things, the more I think people want to unplug and see a play like Harvey.
That's very well put, and we were explaining the draw of Mork County in North Carolina to so many transplants who come here. This area reminds them of a time they grew up in, a simpler time.
Yes.
Your career represents a simpler time to a lot of people.
Oh, I would imagine, yes.
But people would know you now as one of their favorite daughters with the association with the Andy Griffith Show, even though it was one of many things that you did. But this is your first trip to the Sandhills.
Yes, I've been to Mount Airy 2 or 3 times at least, and it's darling over there. I love it.
So you've only been here now a couple of days.
Yes, I arrived Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Wednesday night.
Are you getting a feel for the area, for the people?
A little bit. The people are so nice
Right.
and so warm and polite, and they're wonderful drivers, I think. At least that's been my experience. I'm not driving a car. I'm being shuffled about. But
Are you?
I go for walks in the morning when I have time, and they'll stop, you know, not try and run you down. Do an hour.
Morgan, is it fair to say that the message in Harvey, or the morality of Harvey, is not dissimilar from the Jimmy Stewart It's a Wonderful Life, those period pieces that people can freeze in time and go back to the simpler time and remember?
I think about that, but I think that part of their hold on the audience is that they remain a contemporary emotional experience. You watch it, and it doesn't matter what era it's from, as long as you can sort of play the tape of your own life and find a way to emotionally relate to it within your own life, whether it's looking at the protagonist and their struggles and saying, I wish I could overcome whatever I'm... Because Elwood says in the play, nobody brings anything small into a bar. And I would maintain nobody brings anything small into a theater. Mm-hmm. So you have this wonderful play that lets people sort of forget their troubles and be grateful for what they have and their family or their family of friends. It's just so much fun.
Saying all that, it's very funny.
Yes.
I mean, it's just hilariously funny.
It's so much fun. And we find little tidbits of fun and funny as the rehearsal process goes. Oh, I didn't realize that was funny. Oh, it really is.
The first performance is Thursday evening at 7 p.m.
Yes, Thursday, September 24th.
You've got a show on Friday evening
at 8,
Saturday at 8,
and matinee on Saturday too at 2:00.
And then Sunday you've got a 2 p.m. finale.
Matinee only, yes.
So let's talk a little bit about where people can find tickets. JudsonTheater.com.
Yes.
Help me, because you know this by heart.
I do. Get tickets at JudsonTheater.com or by calling 800-514-ETICS. There are also tickets available at the door. We have special prices for our students and military with ID. Details about that are on JudsonTheater.com as well. And, you know, without the audience there, it's just rehearsal.
You just transitionalized into a beautiful production. That was great.
I've done it before.
Oh, my gosh. That was great. You see parents bringing their kids to the show, young couples, people who want to come back and go back in time and see a recreation of a classic. Mm-hmm. It should be a very varied audience.
That's the joy, is seeing all the different people who've just seen the show and had a great time, and seeing what their relationship with each other, because it can be, you know, parent and child. It can be a couple holding hands. It can be work friends or ladies' night out. It can be all kinds of people from all walks of life, because theater brings people together.
Elinor, with your experience, how is this guy to work with?
He's wonderful.
Is he okay?
Absolutely wonderful. He met me at the airport. I wasn't sure
he's
who
wonderful.
was going to meet me, and he's so polite and gentlemanly and knowledgeable about what he's doing, and he has a great history of theater and work that he's done, and I'm very proud to be associated with him.
And he's one of our favorite sons. He's from Mork County, as you know.
Yes, I know. I'm going to meet his parents next week.
Are you?
Sure, yes.
It's a tremendous place to live. There's a lot of history here.
It's beautiful.
Isn't it?
And the homes are just lovely. If I had more time, I'd look around.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is the real estate man here. He's getting his little pitch in.
I'm not trying to do that. We always just say that it's a great place to wake up every morning.
Yes.
And away from the urban sprawl. And it's just it's an insular existence in a lot of ways. But people love being here. It's a daytime community. And I think you'll find you'll be welcome like you're a resident here over the next couple of days.
I'm sure. I love the Lowe's grocery store.
Do you?
Can I say that?
Yeah.
I walked over there the other day. It's just terrific.
I'm sure you're going to be shown around. There's some charming areas. I'm sure you have a whole lineup of things to do.
We do.
So here's my advice to you. You're going to enjoy this experience maybe more than a lot of past experiences. There's no pressure. You just have to enjoy the moment, right? And you plan to do that, I can tell.
Yes.
Elinor Donohue, it's a pleasure to have met you. We're going to see you at the show. Good. We're going to have some of our ladies are here now, and we're going to have a group over there.
Terrific.
And we wish you the very best.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing you there.
Pleasure. And Morgan, the same to you. Judson Theater Company does a great job. I hope that everybody can get out and see Harvey between September 24th and September 27th at the Owens Auditorium. It's a show for the ages, and it's coming at a great time, early autumn. By the way, you're here at the prettiest time of the year. Just want to let you know that.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah. Best of luck to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
Our house, it has a crowd. There's always something happening, and it's usually quite loud.